Brought to you by every damn cheesesteak joint in Philadelphia. This is the Philadelphia Sports Porch with your hosts, the Grand Schwalbini and Rube. Come on, Philly. Show us a little Eagles, Phillies, Flyers, and Sixers love. The Philadelphia Sports Porch starts now.
All right, Ruby, how you doing today?
I am doing fantastic there, Mr. Schwalbini. How goes it?
Goes well. Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Porch, Philadelphia. We took a little time off last week. Rob was on the slopes preparing for the Olympics. Rob, did you feel like you're ready to make it for, 2030 would be the next Olympics?
You know what? For the old man Olympics, I don't even think I could make that, Schwabi. But the good news is I came back in one piece, and I call it a win and had a great time.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, well, thank you for joining us. If you are on X, or if you want to go to X, it's at Philly Porch. Make sure you follow us there. On YouTube, it's at Philadelphia Sports Porch. Be sure to hit the subscribe button there. Remember, we put everything into a podcast, so everything will go into Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, just basically any type of podcast platform. You can find us there. Just look up the Philadelphia Sports Porch, and you can also catch us on Facebook on the Philadelphia Sports Porch or on Philadelphia Beautiful. So
you know what, Bobby, I should have done this, by the way, when you asked me how skiing was. I should have posted a picture. You would be so proud of me. I don't know if our fans can see it or not.
Yes, the Dawkins jersey.
The Dawkins jersey, that's right.
Yes,
and so last year I wore it after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And I thought it was just an anomaly. Every 3 seconds it was "Go Birds, go Birds." I mean, literally every minute.
Right.
And I live in Texas, as you know, and many of my compadres are Cowboy fans, and they were so annoyed by the end of the trip. They're just like, "I don't want to see you again for a year." And good for them. They didn't see me again for a year. And I wore it again this year, even after the Seahawks won the Super Bowl, and it was still the same thing. We are everywhere. Birds fans are everywhere, and I love it.
They are, man. I mean, all you have to do is wear like a Birds hat, and you'll have a Go Birds wherever you are, any airport. Any airport.
In Montana, every run we took, I guarantee you at least one person said, "Go Birds, go Birds." Hey, where are you from? This one guy's like, "Hey, I'm from Willow Grove." I'm like, "All right, yeah. That's close to where I grew up." And so we made friends and had a good time and stayed in one piece and represented Philly.
Nice. Very cool. All right. Well, as we all know, this is sort of a downtime. You could call this the, I don't know, what do you call it? This is just sort of like the dead zone. In sports, you got the Olympics going on, so the Sixers and the Flyers aren't playing right now. You got spring training; it's just kind of creeping up on us. Eagles is over, Super Bowl's over. So there's not a lot going on, but you know what? We're gonna find a couple things to talk about, and let's just start talking about what everybody is frickin' talking about, and that is this.
That kind of stuff. For me, it was kind of wild, the whole situation of that happening. I think the big thing for me was, when we first met with this organization, it was, hey, we're always going to keep things in-house, and we expect you to do the same thing. And so, when that didn't happen, kind of took me for a run a little bit. So, I don't know, it's part of it, I guess. It's kind of a wild situation, that even happening. Obviously, I didn't have the year that I wanted. Obviously, I didn't have the postseason I wanted. My numbers weren't where they needed to be. I know that, and I don't need to be motivated to be great, in my career or anything else. So that's just not a motivating factor for me. For Dave to come out and say those things, it's kind of wild to me still.
Why did you wear the T-shirt there?
For the motivation?
Or what the Not Elite T-shirt during BP that you posted on TikTok was there?
Not really. I mean,
All right. So have you been privy to these interviews, Rube?
I haven't seen that interview, but I've read it. I've read that that's out there. And, part of me is like, come on, just enough is enough. And don't be
Right.
a baby. Just
Right.
move on. And quite frankly, what Dombroski said was true. So
It is.
man
It's
up,
true.
man up. He wasn't elite last year. Take it as motivation and go be great and go prove him wrong. Um, so down sports time, you get stupid stuff like this, and it doesn't mean a thing to me. Go be
Yeah.
great. If you don't want him to say wild things, why don't you just say disappointing? Or why didn't you
Right.
use a different word?
Right.
So either be mad about it and be straight about it, or don't be mad about it and go prove us. Go
Yeah.
prove Dombrowski wrong.
Wild, like what's up with that, man? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's a little bit ridiculous. Look, I
Go be
mean,
a leader. Go be a leader. Just say he's right.
right,
You know what? He
right,
should have taken the high road and be like, "You're right. I wasn't elite last year. I aim to be elite every year and be the best player I can for the organization and the fans and blah da 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 da. And I'm excited about getting going and about the team we have. So let's go."
Mhm.
But
I also think it's kind of hypocritical. The way he's basically saying things should be kept in house, but yet he continues to not keep it in house. You know what I mean? He
Or the
just keep
shirt. I did see
right.
the shirt. I thought that was a great
Yeah.
question. Like, all right,
Yeah.
if it didn't motivate you or didn't make you mad when it was just wild, why do you
Right.
wear the shirt? All right, what's the point?
Right. Right.
That's not leadership.
Right. The other thing too, which that one sort of cut off the answer to that. The
Hmm.
answer to that was so weak.
What
Um,
was it?
yeah, the answer was he goes, "Well, they made me the shirt, so I wore it." Like, what? Like,
Really?
well, you obviously told somebody to make the shirt.
And
You
even
know
if
what I
someone
mean?
did wear the shirt, and even if someone did make the shirt, aren't you a strong enough role model where you don't have that you say thanks but no thanks? So it was purely
Right.
intentional, and him
Right.
saying otherwise is BS. And honestly, even after Dombrowski said that at the end of last year, I was like, he's right. And maybe it
Yeah.
will light a fire under him. And thank God Schwarber's back because
Yep.
we need the leadership. And
Yeah.
and he had the opportunity to really go the high road and to be a leader and to be a professional, and he decided not to. So,
Right.
you
Like
know,
the thing that's odd, like doesn't he realize that his response makes him sort of look like a little baby?
100 I hope he does, but I
You
don't
know?
but apparently it didn't, and that's the
Yeah.
way it looked.
Well, I guess that's maybe what happens when you've just been pampered your entire life, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, look, hey, bottom line is I think Dombrowski did light a fuse for sure.
Mhm.
I do think it will motivate him because he wants to shut him up and everybody up.
Mhm.
So,
Show
hey,
us. Show us.
yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll benefit. Maybe we'll benefit from it and he'll have a really big year. Um So outside of that, what's your feelings going into this Philly season? Is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to this season, or maybe, I mean, look, I think we both kind of share that probably same thought of, they're probably going to be a good team. Hopefully they get to the playoffs and then they got to hit in the playoffs. It does seem like we're doing the same thing over and over again, which is the
Yeah.
definition of insanity. But any silver linings out there, anything that you think could help this team moving forward?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna from a positive perspective, I'm looking forward to seeing the kid in center field and how Crawford plays. Right? We've been talking for a couple of years now about this Rojas isn't going to do it. We've got these young guys. When are we going to bring them up? So now we got our wish. We'll see Crawford for sure, and he'll have a chance to win the center field job. The dude, what's his name? The Adalis or the guy
Yeah, Dallas. Yeah, Garcia.
looks ripped, right? I don't know if you
Yeah, right. I did.
he
He's
look
jacked.
he's jacked, and that'll be fun. So we're gonna have a whole new outfield, right? So we're not necessarily running it back. I don't know what to expect from the pitching staff, right? We went in the past couple of years saying, hey, we're loaded. This year, we don't, no more Ranger. We don't know what's going to happen with Wheeler. Sanchez has proven, over a couple of years now that he could be counted on as a number one. But beyond that, what do we have in our starting rotation? That makes me a little bit nervous. And so I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that when our bats go cold, which they probably will at some point, that we'll be able to pitch out of it. And so, listen, the Mets have gone and made big deals, right? So the Braves at some point are going to start being the Braves again. And it wouldn't surprise me if we end up third in the division this year, to be honest with you. It wouldn't surprise me if we won the division. I don't know what we're going to get from the pitching staff. So the positive is, hey, we got some new blood in the outfield. Maybe the pitching situation will cause us, will force us to bring Painter in, and we'll see what happens with Painter. So I remain optimistic that we'll be able to hit the ball, and then we've got a good lineup, and perhaps the lineup that will even improve. What I'm a little nervous about is the starting pitching.
Yeah, I mean, I think the starting pitching can sort of go either way. It could be really good again, or it could be subpar. I do know that they're saying that Wheeler looks really good. Like they're expecting him to pitch in May, which is sooner than I thought. I mean, I thought maybe they hold him out till the All-Star break. So a little side story on Wheeler. What do you think? A little bit weird that he decided to keep his rib and keep it in a closet.
Well, a little weird. It's a little weird. But hey, what did you think of? I don't know if you're going to bring this up, but what did you think of the Castellanos note?
Well, actually, that surprised me. I didn't realize that had happened. I didn't know that he brought a beer into the dugout.
Neither did I. I don't think anybody knew it.
No, nobody knew it. So, I mean, like it's a weird one because Casty was probably, other than Bryce Harper and Schwarber, I guess, Casty was probably my favorite player during this run. Because he was really clutch. I mean, and I kind of feel like they, I don't know. I kind of feel like they sort of didn't do him right, so to speak. I mean, look, they said his defense wasn't very good, and I guess by the metrics, maybe they're not. I mean, for whatever, maybe it's just he's not even getting the balls to make errors or something like that. But he very rarely made an error. He often made good diving catches.
In big moments, right?
Yeah. I mean, and look, I mean, so long as you played him consistently, look, he didn't live up to the contract, that's for sure. But still, I mean, he was basically like a 275 hitter that's going to hit over 20 home runs and, probably like 85 RBIs. I mean, I thought he was a pretty solid guy. I mean, I don't know why we decided that he was the guy to sort of pick on last year.
I think he kind of asked for it. Sounds like he asked for it. It sounds like that once your relationship with Topper, which sounds like it just went to total garbage, is over, what are you going to do? Right? You had to let him go. It was either Topper or him, and we've the Phillies organization has made that choice. And it was probably time. He'd probably worn out his welcome, right? His metrics in right field, to your point, were one of the worst for starting right fielders, for whatever that's worth. And he didn't hit worth a damn last year. So could you imagine, of all the people out there saying, well, you're just running it back, if we had run it back with him and everybody else? At least we're making a change, and we'll see what happens. So I'm fine with him going, and however it went down, I'm sure part of it, it takes two to tango. So I don't feel much about it.
The couple things that I heard that were surprising to me that I just wasn't aware of is apparently he really never wanted to come here. That we were just basically the team that made him the biggest offer.
Hmm.
So basically he came. And apparently kind of like from word go, he was never thrilled about being here because he saw himself as like a superstar, and
Hmm.
he felt like being surrounded by Bryce Harper and Wheeler and Schwarber, and I guess then eventually Trey Turner. He felt like
Hmm.
he didn't get the star treatment that he expected. Like he was like batting seventh in the lineup half the time, and
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So, I don't know. It seems like it seems just he's kind of like a malcontent, never happy. Um, but yeah, I mean, look, I'm glad that I don't have to watch him in the playoffs swing at a ball low and outside, you know?
100%, 100%. But what I will miss is I loved his kid, and I loved the
Yeah.
relationship he had with his
Yeah.
kid, and I thought that was part of the story that we saw in all the hype videos and all that.
Right.
That was like a piece of it you'll never forget. So I
Yeah.
really enjoyed that piece. The rest,
Yeah.
good luck in San Diego, and maybe we'll see him in the playoffs.
Yeah. I'm actually really intrigued about this Aiden Miller. I like I could be wrong here, but unless Alec Boehm gets off to like, a killer start and has a great year, which I guess I hope he does.
Mhm.
But I think if Alec Boehm struggles, I think we could see, Aiden Miller becoming like the third baseman this year. I really do. I mean, even though he's a shortstop, he's been, taking ground balls at third base with Alec Boehm like this whole first week of spring training. And
Mhm.
look, they talk about him like he's something special. They're
Mhm.
like, they're talking about him like, hey, when he fields the ground balls, at third base, it just looks different. Like, what the hell does that mean? It just means they think he's special. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of excited about, maybe that's like sort of like the big move that, maybe in a way like not getting Dante Bichette or Bo
Oh,
Bichette,
Bichette.
his
Yeah,
son.
Bichette. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not getting Bo Bichette will turn out to be like a blessing in disguise because this Aiden Miller will like flourish and won't be making $100 million for a while.
Yeah, and maybe it's not Boehm, maybe it's, Stott, and maybe
Mhm.
so he can
Right,
probably so he could go to short, and then Trey Turner could go to second if need
right,
be. So, yeah, I
right,
have heard that most of the hype that I've heard about the 3, Painter, Crawford, and Miller, it sounds like Miller, is the one that they're highest on, quite frankly. So,
right.
um, yeah, sometimes not getting what you want is the best thing ever to happen, and
Mhm,
you're right about the Bichette thing. So we'll see,
mhm.
I'm excited about baseball. It's not, the terrible Phillies that we had for many, many years. They should contend. They still have a lot of good players, a really good lineup, and kinda circling back to where we started, I think ultimately it'll come down to, will can we replace Wheeler? Can we replace Ranger? And who's gonna hold down the fort? And will Nola have a snapback year?
Right.
Um, so we'll see. So
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty positive about Andrew Painter. I sort of feel like it's the second year back. It seems like he's basically saying I'm 100%, like I'm fine. And I liked his attitude about, not being called up last year. He basically just said, "Hey, look, I didn't earn it. I didn't
mhm.
earn a spot last year. So, that's what I plan on doing this year."
Yeah,
So, all right. So that there's your Phillies.
okay.
Now, as we move on to the Sixers, um, one of the things that we didn't get a chance to talk about in your off week was what do you think about trading Jared McCain for nothing?
Well, it's not nothing. It's draft picks. And, I don't know the last time we did something with a second round draft pick. So be that as it may,
it is one first round pick.
It is one first rounder. Okay.
Yeah, but it's Houston, so it's going to be like in the high 20s.
Yeah. It kind of felt like he was on the outside looking in.
Right.
If I'm on one side of the fence, it's probably like, good luck, go play somewhere else. You get to go play for a great team. So show what you can do there. And listen, our backcourt, where is it going to play? Unless we went to a 3-guard offense, where is it going to play? So why not go get something for him? Even after he's been struggling, he's had 2 bad injuries. So you don't know what the injury situation is going to be. So listen, go get future consideration, and hopefully we draft well in the future. I wasn't jumping off of a bridge thinking, oh, that's what is Morey doing on that one. Kind of felt logical to me, and it probably is a win-win because he's going to get to go play some minutes while Oklahoma City is going through some injury stuff.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Look, I don't think it's the end of the world that we lost him. And I'll be happy if we get a starting caliber, really good NBA player next year. And that first round pick in a second is part of the trade package. Right. So yeah, it's not over now. We have to kind of see what we eventually get out of it. The thing that I didn't like about it, did you get a chance to listen to Daryl Morey's press conference about it?
No, I read an article, but I don't remember exactly. I've slept since then, so remind me.
Okay. So basically what he said is like, we were working on a couple deals and they just didn't come to fruition. So like basically he was kind of saying like, we made the trade in the hopes that we could turn that pick around for a player, but it didn't work out. Like, don't you just wait until it's worked out and then you make that trade? You know what I mean? And here's the other thing. Apparently, what some people feel the real reason is that by trading Jared McCain, it got them under the luxury tax.
I did see that as well.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. It just sort of seems like this. Like, the guy was a first round pick just last year. And before he got hurt after 15 games, he was going to be the rookie of the year. And we gave up on him that quickly. Like, we really think that he's just not going to be that good anymore. I mean, like, I don't know.
Maybe they know something we don't know.
Maybe. But anyway, on the positive side of things, we did get to experience this. You know what that is right there?
That's the MVP of the Rising Star game, and his name is VJ Edgecombe.
Yeah, VJ, man, he just keeps doing it. So, look, I do love VJ, and I know his stats kind of vary night to night depending on who's on the floor sometimes, but I really do feel like he's a star in the making. So I'm very excited about him on the team. And then, of course, this was in the semifinal game that brought Team Maxey and the Stars and Stripes squad to the final, of which they, I believe, also won the final. You can say Tyrese Maxey is an NBA All-Star champion.
He is. You know what the thing I like about Edgecombe, and we've seen it this year, he's not afraid of the moment, right? He wants the ball, he wants the last shot. And I would say 80% of the time, it's a good decision. There's been a couple bad decisions along the way, but that's a rookie, and that's what you're going to get.
Right.
I'd rather have that than like Ben Simmons who won't shoot a layup, right? Give me someone who wants the ball, who's going to attack the rim, who's not afraid of the moment. And you've got that in him and Maxey, and it made McCain expendable, unfortunately for him, or maybe fortunately for him. It could be the best thing ever to happen to McCain. So the thought is you're going to go build your team around that backcourt. Who knows what's going to happen with Embiid? I would have liked to have traded him, but maybe a different topic for a different day.
Right.
Trade him while his stock was up, but we're obviously going to build around the backcourt, and maybe that future pick is to start building the front court again. So I'm okay with them trying and doing something different, and we'll see how it goes during the second half of the season. What do you predict? What are your thoughts? So as you sit here today on February the 17th, the Sixers are in the 6th position in the East, which means they don't have to do any kind of play-in game. Do you see them landing similar or better, or maybe below that based on what you've watched this year?
Well, let's assume that there's no major injury.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if it, so if
Big
it's
assumption. Big assumption.
right,
Yeah.
it is a big assumption, but let's say there's no major injury. I think the highest the Sixers will finish will be 4th. And I think they can stay out of the play-in, and I think they're going to be somewhere between 4 and 6. Unfortunately, here's the thing. I mean, if Embiid played every game, I think they could even possibly run it up to like number 3. But they don't play him every game because they got, they're afraid that he's going to get hurt, so they don't play him in back-to-backs and all this kind of stuff. And so what happens is you either get one or the other. It's like, we either go on a hot streak when Embiid plays every game, and then when he doesn't play, then we go on a cold streak because we're all out discombobulated with how we're playing. And the Paul George thing kind of complicates things even more. So I don't know. I mean, I just don't see them making a legitimate run because I never feel like they're never gonna get on a 10-game win streak, for example, because Embiid's not going to be playing 10 games straight.
Yeah.
So kind of with that in mind, I think it'll just sort of be choppy, and they'll have their runs where they win 5 or 6 in a row, and then they'll probably have a few skids where they lose 3 or 4 in a row. But look, I will say this, if they do get to the playoffs with everybody healthy, look, it's not completely out of the question for them to maybe get to the semifinals. Would I bet that they would? Probably not. But it's definitely not out of the question. And that's really just because there's no real great team. Like, Detroit does not really scare me, even though probably they should. But,
It's
they
probably
really got
just because you don't know them, right? Who
right.
watches the Pistons? I couldn't name 3 people
Right.
on the Pistons, but clearly good team.
Right. And, when you think about the Celtics without Jason Tatum, they're not nearly as scary there. I think they don't have Porzingis anymore either, do they?
I think he got traded
Yeah.
at the deadline. Yeah.
Right. So, and then you've got the Knicks who are very competitive and dangerous, but at the same time, we've kind of played them pretty well this year. So look, I mean, I think it's anybody's to take. And so look, maybe we'll get lucky and we'll catch a little lightning in a bottle.
I think that's
I'm
the
not
best. I
counting
think
on
that's
it.
the best. Yeah, I think that's the best hope. I don't foresee a scenario in which the Sixers do anything to get us out of our seat come playoff time, and that's just because that's what we've come to know with this team. The only possible way is if Embiid somehow or another is able to stay healthy and get into the playoffs and just be dominant. But man, the whole thing about playing him every night, you can't. Even with the minutes that we've been giving him this year, he's still hurting, right? And some people
Right.
are saying that Nurse may have played him too much.
Right.
So I don't know what you're gonna get, but yeah, you know what? If they end up 5 to 10 games above 500, I think I would be surprised and call that a good season. And maybe, like you said, they catch lightning and maybe they go a couple of rounds. But
Right.
And here's the other thing: Indiana, who won the East, didn't they win the East last year? Won the East last year. They're pretty beat up, right? Don't they have players that are out for a while?
Well, yeah, they got Tyrese Halliburton's out for the year, and then the other guy who was like their center, who was their second best player, he got traded to another team, or he
Did he
signed as
really?
a free agent. So,
Okay.
they're
So
basically like a completely different team now.
yeah.
You know,
So I still think we're underestimating the Celtics a bit. They're having a good year
Mhm.
even without Tatum. Uh, the Knicks, boy, you saw what they could do if they're finding these guys out of nowhere that are shooting, making threes like there's no tomorrow, and they can get hot, and they got a big man, and they got a great point guard in Brunson. So,
right?
to me, I think this is. I don't know much about the Pistons, but if I had to bet, I think I would bet that the Knicks would probably win the East. It pains me to say it, uh, but we'll see. We'll see. It won't be the
Yeah,
Sixers who win the East,
I
that's for
think
sure.
I think the Detroit has Cade Cunningham, right? He's their
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. The guy
So
from
yeah,
Oklahoma State, and
right.
they've got a big center, Jalen Duran or something like that.
Okay.
Again, I couldn't tell you where
Yeah.
he played, uh, but hey, if the Pistons do well, you know who's happy?
Who?
Lemmer.
Lemmer.
Lemmer's happy.
Lemmer.
All right, so
Pistons, Detroit basketball.
do you know, just a little side
What?
story,
Yeah.
that my father-in-law won a raffle that my mother-in-law put him in years and years ago, and
Yeah.
he won the raffle and hunted for a day with Bill Laimbeer.
Did he?
Yep.
What he say? What he say? Was he a good dude?
Yeah, he said he was a good dude, good hunter, and
Yeah.
was very gracious, and
Mhm.
just the opposite that you would think, just knowing, what kind of player he was. But there's a
Yeah.
picture, and my father-in-law was no small guy to start with.
Mhm.
And the picture was just like, it was ridiculous.
Oh
He
yeah,
was,
I'm sure.
but that's my brush with fame, or my father-in-law's brush with fame with the Detroit Pistons. But
Nice.
we digress.
I remember the Bill Laimbeer Charles Barkley fight. Do you
Yeah,
remember that?
yeah, yeah. I remember Mahorn and Lambie. Oh God, I hated
Right.
those guys.
But then Mahorn
And
was on our side for a while.
that's right. That's right. He's
Mhm.
someone I'd much rather have on my side. It's like an
Right.
Oakley, right? You're like, I'd rather
Right.
have him on my team than not.
Right.
But dude, my favorite player back then was Vinnie Johnson, right? Just the
Mhm.
microwave.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. All right, so we're gonna move on to the Flyer. Um, basically we got another week until they're back from the Olympic break. Um, I don't even know where to start here. Look, they probably the Olympic break is the best thing that could happen to them because they weren't playing well at all. Right.
They were one of the worst teams in hockey in January, let's face it.
Right, right. So do you see them bouncing back at all? Do you see them, and I think when they come back, there's maybe like 5 days until the trade deadline. Do you see them trading away? Do you see them picking somebody up? What's your thoughts?
My preference is that they go and let some of the younger kids play,
Mhm,
um, and see what we've got coming up.
mhm,
And if that's one more year of not making the playoffs, so be it.
mhm,
But I don't know what we get by trading away a Tippett,
mhm.
or a Bobby Brink, or what are you gonna go get that you don't already have? So, uh, I think they're gonna play out the string with who they have. I think we're likely gonna miss the playoffs. Um, we're giving up a lot of goals again. So it's not just one thing, right? It'd be great to go and get a
Mhm,
center, or
mhm.
two, but clearly we need to beef up our defense and our blue line, and it's just not going to happen overnight. And to think
Right,
we
right.
can go make a trade that's going to go put us over the, we're not going to win the Stanley Cup this year. So what would be the point of trading away other than trying to get more assets and more draft picks and maybe some up and coming players that we're willing to take a risk on? So uh, the Flyers won't make the playoffs, is my prediction for the rest of the year, and I don't think it's going to be close. And my hope is that, Michkov starts finding a rhythm and starts playing well again, to play like the guy that we saw last year. I'd love to go I'd like to give some of the younger guys some more playing time,
Mhm.
and I've just about had it with Couturier and some of these guys have just been lingering around for a while.
Yeah. I
So
mean, yeah, to be honest, I mean, here's the thing. I think now, look, you could see a guy like a Bobby Brink go because there's going to be like a surplus of wingers.
and he's a decent player. Someone's going to want to pick him up for a
Yeah,
fourth line.
well, yeah, exactly. So that's why somebody like him might go because you might be able to get something for him.
Mhm.
The only thing, I mean, what I would prefer to see is I would prefer to see us get rid of the older guys who don't play very well at all anymore. Like get rid of Couturier if you can. You know, look, I mean, look,
Who's going to take Couture? But who's going to take him? What are you going to get for him?
well, no, I don't think you're going to get much for him. I don't. Like you might get like a
Mhm.
third round pick for him or something like that. But look, there's got to be a team that's vying for the Stanley Cups that could use a guy that wins faceoffs on a fourth line. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
And look, he's a gritty player. He's just not nearly as good as he used to be.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see him gone. I'd like to see Rasmus Ristolainen gone. He basically comes in, like, plays a shift, and then he's on the IR again. I mean, so like, I'm sick of him. Um,
The
I
problem
mean,
is who's going to play if he doesn't?
right. I mean, but yeah, I mean, look, you just got to let these guys like sink or swim. Like, you play Emil Andre, that's
Mhm.
who you're playing. So play him, see if you can figure things out in the half of the season here. So look, and I think I think next year they really got to start tapping. You got to start tapping into free agency.
Mhm.
You can't just expect every player that you draft is going to become, a elite player, right? So
Mhm.
we need to bring in like a centerman or two, next year in the off season. Hopefully they will.
Who's gonna wanna come though? I guess what's drawing people here? Maybe a relationship with Tocchet if he's still around
Mhm,
next year.
mhm.
Um, but otherwise, why would a free agent want to come to Philadelphia? Come to that market where we expect a lot. We've done nothing for a decade. Maybe it's, hey, I can be the difference as to why, the rebirth of the Philadelphia Flyers.
Right,
So I
right.
just wonder how easy it's going to be to go get one of these stud free agents. And yeah, I
Well,
don't know.
oh,
I'm hopeful. Do you believe in Briere? Have you been happy so far? I know it hasn't been what's it been a couple of years at this point.
yeah, I mean, from the very beginning, I sort of have believed in Briere and Jonesy.
Hmm.
And I still do. I still do. But at the same time, questions are starting to seep in.
Yeah,
I'm starting to wonder. You know what I mean?
we're not closing the Quinn Hughes, and we're not closing these
Right,
guys, and that's
right,
okay. All right, so but at what point do we start pushing our chips in? So
right.
when can Porter Matone or come? Is he still in college, right?
He could even come this year. There's a little bit
Okay.
of talk. There is even a little bit of talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
then there's a Swedish guy. His
Bergslund.
Bergslund, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
These guys sound good. I want to see him
Yeah,
play.
yeah.
But I don't
But
want to see them
yeah,
have to come in here and solve all of our problems, right? Hey, Mitchkov's here.
right.
We're going to make the playoffs. This is not the way hockey works.
Right, right. Yeah, well, I guess we have to sort of sit back and wait and see. But like, look, I mean, I guess where I stand with Briere is I want to make the playoffs next year. If we don't make the playoffs next year, if we don't have significant change in roster from this year to next year, then I'm going to be very disappointed. You
Yep.
can't just say that we're going to do the rebuild the right way forever,
Right. That's
right?
right.
So anyway, all right, enough. I can't stand talking about the Flyers right now any longer.
So you know what the
Let's
cool thing is? We're the
what
host. We can talk about whatever we want.
we can. So let's talk a little Eagles. A little Eagles. There's been a name out there that has been talked about quite a bit. It looks like the Raiders are going to end up trading Max Crosby. And I guess the question is, how in would you be on trading for Max Crosby versus other choices? For example, the Dolphins are going to release Bradley Chubb.
Yeah, I saw that.
Played under Vic Fangio.
Yeah. Gosh.
Jalen Phillips could be back.
He could be. I just don't know how you're going to pay all these guys on defense when we need a wide receiver, right? Do you agree that AJ Brown's probably not coming back?
Well, you know what? I think it's about 50-50.
I think it's 70-30 that he's not that he won't come back. I'm starting to hear murmurings on non-Philadelphia radio, like, what about AJ Brown to the Bills for a second round pick? What about or the Patriots for like a third and a sixth? Who's going to play wide receiver for you?
Well, here's the thing. Number one, I'd be really surprised if Howie doesn't figure out a way to trade him for a first round pick. I really would. Because number one, I don't think he's going to trade him if he doesn't get a first round pick back. I just really don't. Maybe a second round pick if it's in the upper half of the second round. Okay. But I think look, this guy got a first round pick for Carson Wentz from the Indianapolis Colts. You know what I mean?
But I have to imagine at this point, other GMs have gotten wise to Howie. Right? Well, and I'm not going to let him fleece him.
Well, I don't know, though, because, at the same look, apparently he really wanted to be traded at the trade deadline last year. And Howie basically said no. I mean, if Howie doesn't get what he wants, he's not going to go. Now, one of the things that I have heard is that, like, they talk about for a Max Crosby, you're going to need like 2 number 1 picks, right? So, one of the thoughts was you trade AJ Brown to somebody, you get a first round pick back, and then you still get to keep a first round this year, and you trade that first round and maybe your first round for next year.
Maybe a future.
Right. Yeah. And maybe you get a third back or something like that. You know what I mean? So I think, look, I mean, I think for me, I probably wouldn't go that route. I'd more bet on like a Jalen Phillips or bring in a Bradley Chubb. I mean, like Bradley Chubb is gets like 9-10 sacks every year.
He hasn't the past couple of years. I remember reading something about it last year or the other week. And I want to say maybe 8 sacks over the past couple of years. So check the stats on it. I hope we can re-sign Jalen Phillips, and I hope he takes a discount. Maybe he will take a discount and kind of prove it on a 1-year deal that he can stay healthy for the whole year and he can go deliver. But it certainly helped our pass. He certainly helped our pass rush. It was significantly better than before he came, even though he didn't necessarily get the sacks and the numbers. So pay him 1 year. You're going to have to pay Davis. You're going to have to pay Carter. You're going to have to pay all these other guys on defense. I'm just worried that if we go all in on defense, what are we going to have left to pay for the offense? And I think we're going to have to go. I think AJ Brown's going to be out. And maybe, and I hope we don't cut off our nose to spite our face with AJ and keeping him because we can't get what we want for him, but him being a cancer in the clubhouse, for lack of a better term. Yeah. So you saw what we got at the end of this year, and it wasn't good enough.
You are not correct on Bradley Chubb.
Please tell me. Please
2022, he had 8 sacks. 2023, he had 11 sacks. 2024, Why does it go from 2023 to 2025? I don't know, but 2025, 8.5 sacks.
8.5. Yeah,
Maybe,
that's what 8.5.
yeah,
Okay, so it was 8.5 last year.
it was 8.5, 11, and 8 the last 3 years.
Okay, got it.
That's pretty solid, you know. If you're not going to have to break the bank for him and not give up 2 first-round picks,
Is he a defensive end? Are both of these guys
Yeah,
defensive ends? Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah,
they'll get after the quarterback.
right. And Crosby, by the way, he also he gets a pretty high amount of tackles for losses. He also bats down a lot of passes.
Yeah. I mean, he's a great
So,
player. I just
right,
don't want to pour all of our money into the defense.
right.
Right.
So that's a thought. I mean, now I guess here's the next question. We might have touched on this a little bit, but so you basically have 4 really key free agents. Okay, you've got
Mhm,
Jalen Phillips,
mhm,
Nakobe Dean,
mhm,
you've got Reed Blankenship
mhm.
and Dallas Goddard. So my question for you is, if you can only pick 2 to keep, who are you keeping?
Goddard
Hmm.
and Phillips.
Interesting.
I
Now,
think
what do
I'm just so sick and tired of seeing Reed Blankenship get abused, and it happened a lot last year. Um,
so
and
you would break up the exciting whites.
I think I would. I wouldn't prefer it, but listen, it's we've seen over the years how hard it is to get a decent safety in that secondary. So unless they've got a plan or they have an eye on someone to go replace him, that would be tough. But
Right.
at the end of the day, let's assume that Howie knows what he's doing. My preference would be keep your leading touchdown scorer from this year with
Hmm.
Goddard,
Hmm.
and bring back Jalen Phillips on a prove it year for I don't know $15 million, I think is what I read. He loves being here. He loves
Hmm.
Fangio,
Hmm.
and he produced for us. So and that solves your defensive end problem, and it solves your tight end problem because beyond
Hmm.
Goddard,
We don't have
what are
it.
we going to do? We don't have anything,
We don't have any tight ends signed.
right?
We have
So,
no
oh
tight ends
really?
on the roster. Yeah, we have no tight
Yeah,
ends on the roster. So
yeah.
you know what? I'll actually completely agree with you.
Hey, all right.
Yeah,
Agreement.
I think that look, you can't lose Goddard, especially if you might lose AJ Brown.
Right.
Okay. And you don't have a tight end on the roster. And look, he's a security blanket for Hurts. He is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's certainly got lots of good football left in him, I believe, even though he's in his early 30s.
Yeah.
And Jalen Phillips, look, you invested in him. You gave up a 3rd-round pick. So usually when you invest in somebody and they do perform, you're gonna make sure that you bring them back and kind of keep them in the fold. It just makes sense why you did what you did. The tough one is the Reed Blankenship because, geez, if he's gone, then you're left with Makuba and maybe Marcus Epps at safety. That's not too good.
Yeah.
So and look, I think it's also unless you take a safety in the 1st round, I don't think any safety is a guarantee from the 2nd round on, you know?
Yeah.
So, you're gonna have to bring in either a veteran or I don't know. I would hope I would maybe hope that you could get 3 of them back and make that 3rd one Reed Blankenship on a deal where you don't have to pay him a ton of money. That
Yeah.
maybe not that many people really, really want Reed Blankenship.
Yeah. Yeah. It could be, hey, come on back. It's the same thing like what happened with Goddard last year. So we should put a poll out there. Do we do Twitter polls?
We can do Twitter polls.
Why don't we put a Twitter poll out there and let's hear from our listeners on who would they keep if they only had to keep 2, who would they keep,
Mhm.
or if they only had to keep 1, who would they
Yeah.
pick?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's put that out there. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's easier to do 1.
Okay.
with the poll. Yeah, I don't know if you
Well,
can choose 2.
all right.
But
Keep
all
it
right.
simple.
So that is the scoop. Unless there's did you want to touch on the Olympics very quickly?
Let me tell
In,
you. I do want to touch on the
yeah,
Olympics.
touch on the Olympics for us.
I didn't know coming into this Olympics what I was going to feel about watching it, but I find
Mhm.
myself not being able to turn it off at night. I find it really compelling. Uh, there's sports that you don't normally get to see. It's in a downtime, like you said,
Mhm.
and I love the stories. I love like the
Mhm.
feel good stories of like the Italian skier who was in a similar position as Lindsey Vonn. She broke her leg.
Francesca.
Yeah,
Francesca.
is that whatever her last name
Yeah,
is,
yeah, yeah.
the one that with the tiger helmet?
Yeah, that
And
was a
she
great story. Yeah.
and she killed it, man. She won,
Yeah.
but didn't she win 2 races? She get 2 golds or
Yeah.
I don't know,
And I think
maybe gold and
and I think she's older too. She's like 35, isn't she?
she's yeah, like I love watching that. And I loved
Mhm.
I loved watching the kid, the speed skater, Jordan Stolz, and I
Yeah.
love the story. Like
Mhm.
he grew up in Wisconsin and they had a pond in the backyard and the kids never really watched TV except for the Olympics. And they saw someone speed skating and they're like, we want to do that. And the parents built
Right,
a
right.
rink for him. And now the guy, and when I was watching this when we were skiing last week, I'm like, I
Mhm.
wonder, no one else really cares. But if you were in the room, I would be like, you know what? I bet he squats what Saquon squats. And they showed a
Mhm.
stat this week
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
he does.
That's
So
like all they do is squat in training. It's
no,
crazy.
it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. I've really enjoyed watching it, and Lemmer likes to watch it, and you
Mhm.
know, you say what you will about like the figure skating and all that, but I like the stories even
Mhm.
more than the sport and the accomplishment. Is I love the stories, and
Mhm.
otherwise you probably would never hear of these people. So
True.
I've enjoyed it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, I just really like any sporting event, right?
Yeah,
That's cool to watch. I mean, I've always liked winter more than the summer.
really?
Just
Okay.
because, yeah, just because the winter they sort of take you to like another world. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
the world you and I live in, we don't bobsled. You
We
know,
don't do biathlon. We
right?
don't shoot guns and cross
Yeah,
country ski.
right. Like we don't even have an opportunity to luge. You know what I mean? So, like, that's different, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, honestly, I know this is crazy because probably if I was, sitting at the top of, like, a skeleton run,
yeah,
I probably would be scared on my mind and decide I didn't wanna do it.
yeah.
But, I'm, like, watching these guys do skeleton, I'm like, "Well, that looks fun, man." You know what I
Ooh,
mean?
it looks
But,
scary. It
but I
looks
like,
scary as hell.
I like all the, of course, I always love the, the big ski jump.
Mhm.
I like all the skiing because the skiing is just kind of insane to me because it's like you're basically like going straight down a mountain and every single turn you make you could die.
You're
So
teetering what do they say? You're teetering on the edge of the abyss, right?
right, right. So the
Yeah.
skiing I think is always really cool. Um so yeah, I mean, I that's why I like the winter games. The summer games, I don't find as exciting. I mean, like for example, like track and field, I find that to be pretty boring,
Yeah, I agree.
except for like like the fastest man in the world race. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like after like I'm not interested in watching people do hurdles. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
gymnastics. Gymnastics is kind of like the figure skating of the summer games. And if anything, to be honest, you know what? Gymnastics and figure skating are very similar. I find it hard to watch because it's like you have a much better chance of your life crumbling to pieces than succeeding. You know what I mean? It's like the balance beam. It's like, my God. I mean, do 3 flips and land on a freaking bar, you know? It's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same kind of thing with like the ice stuff. I mean, like, okay, I'm gonna do 4 revolutions and then land on a blade.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
It's almost nerve-wracking to watch it.
And when they
Um,
fall, you're like, "Well, that's over," right?
right. And then sometimes it becomes like annoying because sometimes what'll happen is the people that fall still win because their difficulty level was higher. And it's like, what's that? You fell. You can't win if you fall, you know?
Come on, Schwab. You know you love
Yeah.
the ice dancing, and you know you love the twizzles. You know when the ice
No,
dancers do the twizzles,
I do
and you're just
not.
like, you know what? It was a solid twizzle. I you won't say it publicly, but I know deep down inside you like a good twizzle.
I like a triple sow cow. You know that's my jump. But no, it's been fun. I enjoy it.
It's
Oddly
something
enough,
different. It's something
yeah.
different.
Oddly enough, I really haven't been watching any hockey. I've basically look at the scores and it's like Canada beats everybody 10-0. You know what I
But the
mean? It's like
U.S. has been beating everybody too.
they have.
So I
They
think
have.
both the male and the women's and the men's are probably going to come down to U.S.
Yeah.
Canada, and I think that'll be fun, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll go out of my way to watch that. But it
Yeah.
seems like a lot of those games are on in like the middle of the day. So
Right. Yeah, actually the women's hockey team has outscored their opponents 31-1. USA women's hockey. That's insane.
yeah, they beat Canada 5-0. So I don't know
Yeah,
who they're going to play. I almost wish the Russians were in the Olympics to give
right.
us a little competition. But what are you going to do? Anyway, we
Yeah.
digress.
We digress. So I'll tell you what, we're just gonna do you've been watching so much Olympics, you haven't been out there, getting into your programs.
I haven't been
But
streaming or watching anything. Yeah.
but myself, I did hit the theater this weekend
Ooh,
for a
again.
little
Oh,
for a Valentine's Day movie.
okay.
And that movie was Solo Mio with Kevin James.
Never heard of it in my life.
Do you like Kevin James?
I can't say he's my favorite, but he's entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, who would? I mean, like, do you ever run into somebody and say, like, who's your favorite comedian? Kevin James. That never happens.
Who's your
But
favorite?
anyway,
Who's your favorite comedian?
well, are we talking stand-up comedian or are we talking like just funniest in movies?
Whatever you want it to be. This is your show.
I mean, I would say Will Ferrell. I always find him to be very funny.
That is a good one. That's a solid choice.
Yes,
My favorite of all time, Eddie Murphy.
there you go. Okay.
My favorite of all time. But Will Ferrell, yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
this is a rom-com. It got
Mhm.
good reviews. Basically, Kevin James is gonna get married. He's gonna get married in Rome, and in Rome, he gets left at the altar.
Shocking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, what do you do then, right? So, he's sitting there, and he's like, "What the hell should I do?" And of course, the woman runs off, and the guy's like, "Well, like the guy at the hotel, the concierge, she's like, well, you paid for everything. I mean, you might as well have a vacation." So it's kind of funny. He
Mhm.
starts going. Everybody there at this hotel is like on like a couple's honeymoon vacation, but then he's going everything by himself.
Mhm.
Right.
He's like the
And then
lovable loser. He's like a lovable loser,
right.
yeah.
Right. But then like he makes friends with these guys, and these guys are like trying to like get him to like get back out there kind of thing. And then
Mhm.
of course, he kind of like falls in love with some French lady that runs like a coffee shop in Rome, and it was just feel good. I mean, you want to sit down and watch this movie with Lemmer. At the end of the movie, you're going to say, "I really enjoyed that."
Aw.
It's a 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah,
Really? Okay.
absolutely.
I'm surprised.
Solo Mio. Hey, it was Valentine's weekend, and there was one thing that I was looking for, and that was for love to win, and love won the day.
Wow. Wow. Do you know
You're like
what?
you're like, "Schwabi, could you just stop it already?"
No, no. I just think back to your wedding day and
Yeah.
what a lucky woman Amy May was to find you. I
Well,
just
thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm lucky to have found her.
No, that's what I really meant.
Right. Yeah, you're right about that. Well, everybody, hey, thanks for tuning in tonight. Hey, without a lot going on, we still found a lot of things to talk about. If you're on X at Philly Porch, remember to follow us. If you are on YouTube at Philadelphia Sports Porch, subscribe. We will get this out into a podcast sometime later tonight or tomorrow. You can check it out on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere that you get your podcasts. We do have something in the works, and I'm not going to promise it because, let's just say that it remains to be seen whether a promise to me will be kept. But I do want to let you know that it is possible that sometime over the next month, we may have an actual member of the Phillies organization, Current Time, on the show. So if we get that locked down, I will certainly do a lot of promo for it. So keep your eyes peeled there, and you might just get some incredible insight into what to expect from your Fighting Phils this year.
Ooh, all right. I'm excited.
All right. Okay, so for Rube, I'm the Grand Schwalbini. We wish you a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. And we will, in all likelihood, see you next week. Same time, 7 o'clock Eastern time. That is 6 o'clock Central time.
Yes,
Mountain
very
time?
good.
Central time.
Central time.
All right. Thanks for being here. We love you. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye, guys.